What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So I've got another Veilbreaker theory-crafted build for you today. I've been working on this for a while. It's Terrify Banshee, or Terrifying Banshee, whatever name you want to call it. This will be combining a full armor strip with Banshee's weak points, making the enemies completely worthless, and also making you basically one-shot them really easily. Before we get into it though, make sure you're subbed to the channel, make sure you have the live stream as well, and we do have a sponsor for today's video, so let's go over that right now. Let's talk about the sponsor of today's video, Yahaha Studio. Yahaha Studio is a new interactive 3D multiplayer creation platform with user-generated content going into early access. With Yahaha, you can create and publish your own virtual experiences and share them easily with the world. No coding experience needed. Simply use the component and smart assets to make your own dream games. The only limiter is your imagination, as you have many options here, a water level, an island level, city level, you name it, you can make it here. And you can easily share it with other users as well. With one button press, you can publish it to their list of games to scroll through. Tons and tons of games here. And it goes even further. Make your own concerts, make whatever you can think of. They've even got some competition here on the best levels. It's a cross-platform app between mobile and PC where you can play these games and design these games. I'd like to thank Yahaha Studio for sponsoring this video. Click my link in the description to check it out today and get developing these games. Back to the video. Thanks again to Yahaha Studios for sponsoring today's video. Alright, so the build is going to be Terrifying Banshee. I did do this, made this build on stream and did test it quite a bit. And the idea of this setup is, since Terrify is getting a buff, it's going to be able to remove enemy armor fully through walls, so no line of sight, with just Umbral Intensify. So that's really good. Basically one mod slot and Terrify, and you have an easy armor strip, like I said, goes through walls. Now, one of the main problems with Terrify, and why a lot of people think it might not become like a new meta ability, is because one of the features of the ability is it makes enemies run away from you. So let's say the enemy is running away from you through a wall because it's got no line of sight. How are you going to know where they are? Well, that's when Banshee comes into play. Banshee's second ability, Sonar, will mark enemies through the wall for you so you can see where they are. We're actually going to hop into here, unpaused AI, and show that this actually can work on big hordes of enemies like this. Now, it's a lot of ability presses, but now these guys are basically just sitting ducks, and they are armor stripped. Once the update goes through, they will have red health bars, and you'll be able to easily one-shot them with a viral weapon like this Exodia Contagion Zaw. So that's the idea of the build, make the enemies worthless, and make them also die in basically one hit. As you saw, like 1,000,000 damage, just swing right there. And the turrets those enemies were creating were just, driving around doing nothing. They don't even know I exist, basically. So that's the idea of the build. Now, there are some things you can change for personal preference on here. It's more of like a debuff or support role, but we're going to go over all the weapons too for your support playstyle. So I'm going to highly recommend you run Brief Respite on this loadout. With how much shields Banshee has with the Decaying Dragon Key, we got 75 shield. The energy cost of Terrify is 75. It is an easy shield gate right there from one button press, making you basically invincible as long as you keep casting this ability. And you will be invincible because you have multiple layers of CC on top of that. So we've got Silence. If an enemy gets near us, they will be stunned. I think they also take additional melee damage, but we're not really using melee that much right now. You definitely could do that. We also got Terrify. Like I said, full shield gate, and it's going to stun the enemy. They'll actually stun the enemy mid-punch. They will stop attacking you mid-punch and just freeze in time, basically, with this setup. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to use this over Gloom. Gloom Banshee was kind of just not really... I don't think it was a full utilization of the kit. Because, yeah, it slows enemies down while they're in your silence stun. But the health restore part of Gloom was being completely worthless. The slowing is not as good as an actual stun. Like, seriously, we're getting a stun and a slow for using Creeping Terrify, which I'm going to show you this disruption footage right here. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, in disruption, I have found out that Terrify does not work on the Demolist, and it doesn't seem to work on Acolytes either. So, but don't worry, you're still fine. If you're in a mission where you want to be doing Demolist and Acolyte armor stripping, Banshee has another augment mod for armor stripping. Now, it's a little bit goofy that the game is like this. I think they should just make it where every armor strip works on every enemy. But if you are, let's say you're fighting against Corpus, you want to armor strip the Corpus Demolist, and whatever, the other guys will be CC'd anyway, you can put on Sonic Fracture. This is going to be giving armor strip as well. Also, this can actually push the Demolist away. You can make the Demolist get pushed further and further back in the room and keep DPSing it. This will work on the Demolist and the Acolyte, and just easy armor strip with their first ability. You can still keep Terrified to stun all the trash ads. Makes it really easy for your teammates to stay alive. Not to mention, this Resonator thing right here gives it an increased damage multiplier of 7.2 with this setup. And we've also got Molt Augmented. The more stacks we get, the more power strength we have, the more damage multiplier this will provide. Keep in mind, these weak points can stack on top of each other. That's why spamming this ability is so good, and Resonance is so good. Killing an enemy in the weak spot will trigger the Resonance in another area. So it just recasts it every time you get a kill on the weak point. So that combined with good amount of duration and range, and you're good to go. All of our power strength is basically going into that multiplier. We don't really benefit from power strength very much because you only need one power strength mod for Terrify and Creeping Terrify to be maxed out, which is really, really one of the things that's like, okay, do they fully think this through? All right, going over our weapon choices here. Like I said, though, on this build, it's very customizable what you want to use. You can use more power strength, you can use more range. Jamming on more range is nice, but it's kind of hard to fit it all on here. So let's start going over these weapons. And as the gameplay footage is in a Corpus mission right here, you will be seeing me using the Miter Sawblade Launcher. Those Nullifier bubbles get rid of your weak points and kind of like ruin all the ability spamming you've been doing. So if you get the Miter, and which I believe is Farwell from Lesh Krill on Ceres, but don't quote me on that one because I don't remember exactly where that comes from. This weapon is actually a very, very good utility weapon. The Miter will launch a high-velocity saw blade. We're not using it for damage. We're using it for the special augment mod called Neutralizing Justice. And what this one does is each Miter blade has a 90% chance to immediately destroy a nullifier field. So if you have multi-shot on there, that's multiple blades you're launching. I have a multi-shot Riven. That's probably one of the best stats you can get on here. Just jam as much multi-shot as possible. If you fire off more saw blades, you'll have more chances to pop that nullifier field. More fire will let you launch the saw blades out faster too. And yeah, basically nullies don't exist if you use this. And you can also use Primary Dexterity to make it where your melee has a longer combo duration by 7.5 seconds per arcane. So that's something you can do right there. If you don't want let's say you're not running against, like I wouldn't recommend running this primary against non-Corpus. If you're going against like Grenier, it's going to really be up to what you want, what you feel like running. I mean, Banshee makes nearly every weapon like ridiculously strong. So it's really up to you, man. Like Amprax, Vermisplicer, if you want to watch my previous video on Vermisplicer, I get a lot of questions about that weapon. And look at this enemy right here. That is an enemy that is affected by Creeping Terrify. It was pretty much just perma-stun, just sitting there on the ground. It can't fight back. So yeah, it makes playing Banshee a little bit easier than using Terrify. I never thought I'd use Terrify on Banshee, but since it's getting buffed so much, sure. And the funny thing about, since you're playing a buffer frame like Banshee, the enemies get debuffed so much. If you ever go down with Last Gasp, I mean, there's debuffs so much, the Propa shot will kill them even level 200 plus in their Exodus. So that's really nice. But going over some other weapons you can use, I've got the Kufa Nucor, just really good for ad clear, because like, if you're using the Miter, you don't really have ad clear. And since we're not really running like a DPS, like ability-focused build, our weapons are going to be doing most of the killing. We're really just spamming lots of abilities. You're spamming your 2 all the time. You're casting Terrify every here and there just to make sure the area is covered. Now, Power Strength is going to affect how much enemy count you can get with Terrify. But, even with one Power Strength mod, it's 28 enemies. And you usually only have more than 28 enemies nearby anyway, so... yeah, the Kufa Nucor we got with a heat proc build, but it's actually just kind of a DPS build in general. Got a magnetic roll with heat mod here, anti-Corpus heat riven right here, and viral damage. And I don't know why I've got Prime Bane the Grenier. That was definitely the wrong Bane mod. But yeah, something like this will help you melt the Corpus. As you can see here, another Dexterity Arcane. It's really up to you what arcanes you run. It's your playstyle will dictate what you want to rock there. And I was also doing some experimentation with Exodia Contagion. I think Exodia Contagion will become a lot more, widely used once we get that AoE nerf. Because they're not nerfing the AoE on this thing. I don't know exactly what the explosion range on it is, but yeah. So the way this build is set up is it's predicting what will be good after the changes. So I'm thinking full armor strip on these guys. I'm going to go viral Exodia Contagion. They will be fully armor strip. I can just simulate that really quick for you guys right now. We'll keep Sonic Boom on since Terrified's armor strip. We're not currently on Veilbreaker yet. Terrified's armor strip is really bad right now, but Sonic Fracture's armor strip is still like how it will be after the patch. This is what I'm going to be simulating for after the patch. We'll just pause them so they're not moving around. So we're going to debuff them a little bit, get our 3 going, might as well cast Terrify, and then Armor Strip. They should have no armor, and there you go. It's going to be an easy one-shot on these unarmored guys. That will be what Terrify does after the patch. Then you can put Creeping Terrify in that slot, 9 million. And yeah, so the way you use Exodia Contagion, it's a little bit annoying, and it's going to require some getting used to for sure. So you can either double jump and then aim glide melee, or bullet jump, aim glide melee, and you can throw out this projectile of doom. And the way you get access to Exodia Contagion, it will be coming back with an Aberus Knights event, as it seems like Plague Star has been delayed indefinitely according to their prime time. So I'm hoping that we get some more information on that soon. Yeah, so that's basically it for the video, guys. I really think this build is, at least for me, it's going to be what I'm going to be rocking a lot going forward. It's been great for farming relics on Disruption. It's good for anti-nullifiers with the Miter. It's got flexibility. It's like, okay, I don't want to run this. I want more Exodia Contagion damage. You can go with Prime Fury for more melee damage. You know, whatever you have access to. I would say the Energizer is really, really helpful on here. We didn't really talk about the focus tree. I've been running Xeneric because like I am casting so much that... Sure, it's a very ability-focused build. I'll take the 20% extra power string from Wellspring versus the 40% from Matarai. At least I get 5 energy regen per second. Another thing that's up to you. Maybe you want to build Blood Rush on your Exodia Contagion, which I know will give you more damage, just a little bit more annoying. You could go Naramon to make that combo really easy to maintain. If you don't want to run Sonic Boom or whatever, you can go Nairu to strip the Demolist specifically. But that sounds a little bit like redundant. And then there's also Vazarin, which I know some people still like to use. But I'm going to go with Xeneric for now. It felt right on the build. And of course the companion for the Panzerwolf Phyla, just because companion survivability in this game is really bad. But, you know, after the update comes out, we're doing Steel Path Fissures. I probably still will rock Count Kirby for double Steel Essence. Alright guys, that's it for the video. I'll see you next time. And thank you so much to Yahaha Studios for sponsoring the video. Make sure you click that link down below to get access to the early access version of it. Alright guys, see you next time. Peace.